Today we will discuss about the blood supply of the head and neck region. First of all, head and neck region is supplied by two major arteries. Number one, common carotid artery. This is the left common carotid artery and this is the right common carotid artery, and another is vertebral artery. This is the vertebral artery, right vertebral artery, and this is the left vertebral artery. These two major arteries supply the head and neck region. Now we will discuss about the origin and the branches of these two major arteries. Number one, we will discuss about the common carotid artery and its origin. The first of all, this is the ascending aorta. This arises from the left ventricle of the heart, and this is the arch of aorta. This arch of aorta gives three branches. Number one, brachiocephalic trunk. Number two, common carotid artery, which is the left, and this is the left subclavian artery. Now, the brachiocephalic trunk has divided into two arteries, right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery. Okay. Now we will discuss about the common carotid artery. This is the common carotid artery of the left side. So, common carotid artery arises from the arch of aorta in case of left, and in case of right arises from the brachiocephalic trunk. So now we will see the branches and division of the common carotid artery. Now the division of the common carotid artery. The common carotid artery has divided into two arteries. Here, this is the external carotid artery and this is the internal carotid artery. Okay. Now we'll see the external carotid artery. This is the external carotid artery and it has 8 branches. Anteriorly it has 4 branches. Now we'll see the 4 branches. This is the superior thyroid artery. This is the lingual artery. This is the facial artery. And this is the maxillary artery. These are the 4 branches: maxillary artery, facial artery, lingual artery, and superior thyroid artery. These are the anterior 4 branches of external carotid artery. Now we'll see the other branches. And external carotid artery has 2 posterior branches. These posterior branches are: number 1, occipital artery. This is the occipital artery which is supplied in the occipital region of the head, and this is the posterior auricular artery. So the posterior branches are occipital artery and another is posterior auricular artery. Now 1 terminal branches. This is the superficial temporal artery. This is the terminal branch of external carotid artery, and another branch is remaining which lies on the medial side, medial part. This is the ascending pharyngeal artery. So these are the 8 branches of external carotid artery. Now we will discuss about the internal carotid artery. This is the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery arises from the carotid sinus. So this is the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery has 5 branches. Now we will see the 5 branches of internal carotid artery. This is the internal carotid artery. Now we will see the branches of internal carotid artery. This is the number 1, anterior cerebral artery. first branch of internal carotid artery. This is the medial cerebral artery, number 2. And number 3, ophthalmic artery. Number 4, anterior choroidal artery. And number 5, posterior communicating artery. This is the posterior communicating artery here. This is the posterior communicating artery. I will repeat this because it is critical. This is the internal carotid artery. So I will show again the branches of internal carotid artery. This is the anterior cerebral artery. This is the middle cerebral artery. This is the anterior choroidal artery, and this is the ophthalmic artery, and this is the posterior communicating artery. These are the 5 branches of internal carotid artery, and this is all about the common carotid artery. Then another artery is remaining, which is vertebral artery. Now we'll see the vertebral artery. This is the vertebral artery. Okay, the right vertebral artery arises from the right subclavian artery, and left vertebral artery here arises from the left subclavian artery. These 2 vertebral artery goes to the brain and united and form basilar artery. Okay, these 2 vertebral artery arises in the brain and unite and form basilar artery. Okay, now the basilar artery continued and formed the posterior cerebral artery. Okay, this is the posterior cerebral artery, which is the continuation of the basilar artery. Now the basilar artery, now the posterior cerebral artery and internal carotid artery is communicated by posterior communicating artery. After this, we will show the circle of Wiley, which is the major blood supply of the brain. So this is the posterior cerebral artery, this is the anterior cerebral artery, this is the middle cerebral artery. Okay, anterior cerebral artery, middle cerebral artery, and this is the posterior cerebral artery. The posterior cerebral artery and internal carotid artery are communicating by posterior communicating artery. Okay, here the left side and here the right side. This is the posterior communicating artery. Okay, and these are the anterior cerebral artery of the right side, and this is the anterior cerebral artery of the left side, and 2 anterior cerebral artery is connected by anterior cerebral artery, which is critical. Here we can show this. So this, hide this. This is the circle of Wiley. This is the circle of Wiley. So this is the basilar artery. Now we'll show it again. 2 vertebral artery unite and form basilar artery, and basilar artery continued and formed the posterior cerebral artery, and this is the internal carotid artery. Internal carotid artery give anteriorly the anterior branch, which is anterior cerebral artery, and in the middle side, middle cerebral artery. Okay, middle cerebral artery, and anterior cerebral artery of the right and left side connecting by anterior communicating artery and posterior cerebral artery and internal carotid artery are communicated by posterior communicating artery. So this is the circle of Wiley, which is the major area of the blood supply of the brain. That's all about the blood supply of the head and neck region.